What happens when a god's desire transforms an innocent nymph's life forever, creating one of mythology's greatest teachers in the process? In the golden age of ancient Greece, when gods walked among mortals and magic flowed through every stream and forest, stories emerged that would shape human understanding for millennia. These tales weren't mere entertainment. They were profound explorations of love, transformation, wisdom, and the complex relationships between divine and mortal realms. Deep in the emerald waters of the ancient world lived Philyra, a sea nymph of extraordinary beauty. Her name meant linden tree, connecting her to both the flowing waters she called home and the sacred groves that dotted the Greek landscape. Philyra possessed the timeless grace of her kind, with flowing hair like ocean foam and eyes that reflected the depths of the sea itself. Philyra wasn't just another nymph dancing through tide pools. She was an Oceanid, daughter of the mighty titans Oceanus and Tethys. This made her part of the ancient divine hierarchy. Beings who existed before Zeus and his Olympian siblings claimed dominion over the world. Her lineage carried both privilege and burden, as she would soon discover. The sea nymph lived peacefully in her aquatic realm, tending to sailors and protecting those who honored the ocean's power. She embodied the nurturing aspects of water, bringing life and renewal wherever she went. Her days passed in serene contentment, surrounded by her sister nymphs and the gentle rhythm of eternal tides. But peace, as so often happens in Greek mythology, was destined to shatter. Cronus, the Titan king who had once devoured his own children to prevent his prophesied downfall, cast his ancient eyes upon beautiful Philyra. Despite being overthrown by his son Zeus and imprisoned in Tartarus, Cronus still possessed immense power and an insatiable appetite for conquest. His desire for the sea nymph burned like molten gold. Philyra wanted nothing to do with the fallen Titan king. She had witnessed his cruelty, his paranoia, and his willingness to destroy even his own family for power. When Cronus approached her with declarations of love, she fled through the ocean depths, using every current and hidden cave to escape his pursuit. The chase became legendary among sea creatures. Philyra transformed herself into various forms, hoping to evade the relentless Titan. She became schools of fish, swirling currents, even sea foam itself. But Cronus possessed cunning that matched his power. He anticipated her every move, closing the distance between them with terrifying persistence. In desperation, Philyra attempted her most ambitious transformation. She shifted into the form of a mare, hoping to escape onto land where the sea-bound Titan couldn't follow. The plan seemed brilliant in its simplicity. As a horse, she could gallop across continents, putting vast distances between herself and her pursuer. But Cronus proved more clever than she anticipated. Seeing through her disguise, the Titan King transformed himself into a magnificent stallion. His new form rippled with divine power, muscles like flowing bronze and a mane that sparkled with starlight. In this shape, he could pursue Philyra across any terrain, matching her speed and stamina with supernatural endurance. The chase thundered across ancient Greece. Hoofbeats echoed through sacred groves and over mountain peaks as divine beings raced in forms that shook the very earth. Philyra's terror grew with each passing moment, knowing that her strength was no match for a Titan's relentless pursuit. Finally, exhausted and cornered in a remote valley, Philyra could run no further. Cronus, still in stallion form, achieved his dark desire. The union was not one of love, but of power and violation, leaving the sea nymph traumatized and forever changed. When Philyra discovered she carried Cronus's child, her anguish deepened beyond measure. The pregnancy proceeded unlike any normal birth. Divine offspring rarely followed mortal patterns, and this child carried the complex heritage of both Titan and Oceanid bloodlines. The birth itself became a moment of profound shock and sorrow. When Philyra's labor ended, she found herself holding not a normal child, but a creature that was half human and half horse. The baby possessed a human torso and head, but the lower body and legs of a foal. He was a centaur, the first of his kind. Philyra's reaction was immediate and heartbreaking. Seeing this hybrid child, she was overwhelmed by memories of the traumatic encounter that created him. The baby represented everything she wanted to forget about that terrible day. His very existence reminded her of violation, transformation, and loss of control over her own destiny. Unable to bear the sight of her centaur son, Philyra made a desperate plea to the gods. She begged Zeus to transform her into anything that would allow her to escape the pain of motherhood under such circumstances. Her anguish moved even the king of the gods, who granted her request with solemn compassion. Philyra's body began to change, her limbs stretching skyward and her skin hardening into bark. Her flowing hair became leaves that rustled with ocean memories, and her feet took root in the earth she had rarely touched as a sea nymph. She became a linden tree, finding peace at last in this new form that connected her to both earth and sky. The transformation freed Philyra from her emotional torment, but it left her newborn son completely alone in the world. This abandoned centaur child was Chiron, and his story was just beginning. Unlike other centaurs who would later emerge, creatures known for wildness and lack of self-control, Chiron possessed a gentle and noble nature. Perhaps his divine Titan heritage, combined with his mother's oceanic wisdom, created something unprecedented in the world. Apollo, god of music, poetry, and healing, discovered the abandoned infant and was moved by compassion. The sun god recognized something special in this hybrid child and chose to become his mentor and adoptive father. Under Apollo's guidance, Chiron would grow into something remarkable. The young centaur learned medicine from Apollo, becoming the greatest healer of his age. He mastered music, creating melodies that could soothe savage beasts and calm troubled hearts. His knowledge of herbs and natural remedies surpassed that of most gods, and his wisdom grew to legendary proportions. But Chiron's greatest gift was his ability to teach. Unlike other immortal beings who hoarded knowledge, he shared it freely with those worthy of learning. His cave on Mount Pelion became a sanctuary of education where heroes came to train. Jason, who would lead the Argonauts in search of the Golden Fleece, learned navigation and leadership from Chiron. Asclepius, who became the god of medicine, studied healing arts under the centaur's patient guidance. Achilles, greatest warrior of the Trojan War, received training in combat and honor from his wise mentor. Chiron's teaching methods were revolutionary. He understood that true education involved not just knowledge, but character development. He taught his students to balance strength with wisdom, courage with compassion, and skill with humility. The abandoned child who began life as a symbol of trauma and violation became the greatest educator in Greek mythology. His story represents the profound truth that our origins don't determine our destiny. Wisdom can emerge from suffering, and greatness can grow from the most unlikely circumstances. Philyra's transformation into a linden tree wasn't just an escape from pain. It symbolized her connection to the natural world and the cyclical nature of life, death, and renewal. The linden tree became sacred in many cultures, representing love, protection, and the connection between earth and heaven. In some versions of the myth, Philyra's tree form allowed her to watch over her son from a distance, providing silent protection and guidance. The rustling of linden leaves was said to carry a mother's wisdom to those who knew how to listen. This myth explores themes that resonate across cultures and centuries. It examines how trauma can be transformed into wisdom, how abandonment can lead to self-reliance, and how the greatest teachers often emerge from the deepest struggles. Chiron's story influenced countless works of art, literature, and philosophy. Renaissance painters depicted him teaching young heroes, symbolizing the importance of education and mentorship. Modern psychologists reference the wounded healer archetype, recognizing how personal pain can create profound empathy and healing abilities. The tale of Philyra and Chiron reminds us that transformation, though often painful, can lead to unexpected gifts. Sometimes what appears to be curse becomes blessing, and wisdom emerges from the depths of suffering. In our modern world, this ancient story continues to inspire those who overcome difficult beginnings to become teachers, healers, and guides for others. It celebrates the power of education, the importance of mentorship, and the profound truth that our greatest contributions often grow from our deepest wounds. The sea nymph who became a tree, and the centaur who became the wisest teacher in mythology show us that every ending can be a beginning, and every wound can become a source of healing for others.